Hey everyone, welcome. This is Algebra 1. We're starting off with section 1.1, and this section is all about bar graphs and dot plots. Alright, so this pictograph shows the number of CDs sold at Sherry's music store in one day, and it's over here. Can you tell just by looking which type sold the most? How many CDs of this type were sold? So what's really nice about this pictograph is instead of just having dots or anything else, it's an easy way to say, oh, we have CDs, to make it a little more interesting for some people to look at. And it shows the data very quickly and easily. If we just had a bunch of numbers, this is really hard to see. But if we look at it this way, this pictograph says we got rock, country, R&B, rap, pop, gospel, classical, and jazz. And notice also that this says one CD. So do we know which one was the most? Well, easily we could tell this is rock because it goes the highest, right? And then how many CDs of this type were sold? So first, let's just say it is, whoa, that's not what I want to do. All right, let's try that again. So we're going to say it is rock. Rock is the one that has been sold the most. And then we would say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we know they sold 16 CDs. All right, and I know it's 16 because I also remember that each one of these little pictures represents one. So we have different categories, rock, country, R&B. Rock is the highest, and it is 16. So what's really nice about this is that this specific information, the kind Sherry may later use to make decisions, is sometimes called data, and that's a really big word, data. You use data every day when you answer questions like, where is the cheapest place to buy a can of soda? Or, how long does it take to walk from class to the lunchroom? In this lesson, you'll interpret and create graphs. Throughout this chapter, you'll learn more ways to organize and represent data. Throughout this entire year, we're going to use data a lot to look at what happens in math to create patterns to figure out what are we learning and how does all this stuff fit together. All right, so here's the example. This is on the second half of your page. What I'd like you to do is read along with me, and then we are going to actually answer the question. Okay, we're going to make a bar graph below. So we're going to create a table and a bar graph, and we're going to do this together. So all you really have to do is follow along and do what I do. All right, so here's our example. Joaquin's school posts a pictograph showing how many students celebrate their birthdays each month. Here is part of the pictograph. Create a table of data and a bar graph from the pictograph. Okay, so first we need to create a table of data, and then we also have to create a bar graph. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a table. So what we are going to do is, yes, let's use some lines here, and we're just going to make them a table. It's going to go this way, and let's not have it be dashed, let's have it be solid. So we're going to go across and look like this. Now, could you make your table go vertical and not horizontal? Mine is going horizontally. You could have it go up and down as well. I just have more room, so I'm going to make it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on this side, put month, and underneath I'm going to write number of students. So it's actually going to be number of students, not just students. That way I know it's a number. It's not like student 1, student 2. Alright, so then we're going to go through and write down all of the months first. So I'm going to say January, and I'm going to abbreviate them so that way I have enough room. February, March, and April. Alright, and then I'm going to separate them. That way it's really easy to see exactly what goes where. A lot of times just keeping everything nice and organized is really, really helpful in math. Alright, so January, we could say there are 3, but that would not be correct. Why not? Because down here, looking at the scale, we have each one of these little blue people represents 5 students. So I've got 5, 10, 15. So in January, we have 15. In February, we have 2 blue people, which makes it 10. In March, we have 0 blue people, so that is still 0. And in April, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5 is 25. 5. All right, so there is our table of data. We have created our table of data. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a bar graph. Now, if you know what a bar graph is, great. If you don't know what a bar graph is, that's what we're doing this video for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a vertical line and a horizontal line. And now all we're really going to do is we're going to represent this data horizontally. And let's put it right here. That seems pretty good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a spot. And what's going to happen is I have from here to here. Oh, I don't really like that so much. Let's just go back and try that again. I'm going to use the line here. Okay, so we're going to say this here. In here is going to be January. From this spot to this spot is going to be January. From here to here is February. From here to here is March. And from here to here is April. All right, we're not too concerned about exactly how far apart they are. I try to make them roughly the same, but we'll see if they're a little bit off. That's okay. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to say we want to have this be the number of students. So down here is our months. Let's label it. That way we know we have good labels. So months. And then on the y-axis, the vertical one, we're going to have number of students. All right, so I know I can start off down here should be 0, so I'm going to make that little spot 0, and I have to go as high as 25. So if I go up by 5, that seems like a pretty easy way to make this go up. I don't want to make 25 marks, so I'm not going to go up by 1s. So I go 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All right, and I should try to make these all evenly spaced. If I had graph paper here, that'd be really great. I don't have graph paper, so I try to eyeball it and make the best I can. So I've got 5, 10, this is 15, 20, and 25. All right, so then all I have to do is make some bars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a rectangle and make mine look really nice. So I'm going to make the first one be red. So January, I have to make sure I go up all the way to 15. So I'm going to make mine right there. That seems pretty good. Let's make the next one be clear for the middle. And I'm going to make February be in green. Nope, I'm going to make it be in green. So let's just make sure I can get this right. February, I have to go up as high as 10. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to go across, I'm going to go up as high as 10. And that looks pretty good. Again, if I had graph paper, that'd be really nice. March, I've got 0, so March is going to stay right where it is. And April, let's make in blue, and April is going to go from here all the way up to 25. Now, what I can do here, because I have this, is I can kind of match 25 and just go across this way. That way I know I've got it about the same. All right? And there it is. There is my bar graph representing this pictograph. Are they kind of similar? Sure, but this is what it looks like. All right, so here are some notes that we have for the end of what we're doing. It should only take a couple of minutes. If you want to write any of this down on the back because you think it's important, probably the stuff that you should, if you're going to write anything down, dot plots could be important, and so could spreads. Notice how they're in different colors, which kind of makes them important. All right, so we're going to talk about these in just a second. The other thing I want to actually point your attention to is this word categories, okay? That's going to be another important one. The categories for our bar graph, in this case, were January, February, March, April, the months of the year that we had information for. So the categories is how we separated our bar graph. So let's write down any important information that you think is relevant for this. Bar graphs gather data into categories and make it easy to present a lot of information in a compact form. In a bar graph, you can quickly compare the quantities for each category. In a dot plot, each item of numerical data is shown above a number line or a horizontal axis. Dot plots make it easy to see gaps and clusters in a data set, as well as how the data spreads along the axis. Now, if you think about spreads, kind of like when you spread peanut butter or something like that, how much of it is really high in one spot and really low in others. So if you kind of think about that, that might be a good way to remember spreads. In the investigation that we will be doing next, you'll be gathering and plotting data about pulse rates. People's pulse rates vary, but a healthy person at rest usually has a pulse rate between certain values. A pulse that is too fast or too slow could tell a paramedic that a person needs immediate care. So with that, we are going to start the investigation.